Look at it this way. See the whole vast world as infinite states. All states. If they're all states, and you are an immortal being, you are not a state, you are immortal. You enter a state, and the state becomes alive. Therefore, you are not to blame if you enter a state unwittingly, and it's a horrible state. Men not knowing that you are in a state, they condemn you. But you have to express the contents of that state. If you enter the state of poverty, you have to experience poverty. If you remain in it, you must go and drink that to the very last drop, the dregs of that cup. If you go into any state and remain in that state, you're going to drink it to the very last drop. But you can get out of a state. You don't have to remain in it if you know it's a state. If you don't know it's a state, you identify yourself with the state and think that you're it. Man has identified himself with this little body, and he thinks he is it. So the day comes, he has to discard it because he's worn it out. As he discards it, all of his friends are crying to think he died. He can't die. He is an immortal being who wore a garment of flesh and blood. That same being who goes into states, remaining in a state, and the state has to be expressed by him who resurrected the state. For I am the resurrection and the life of that state. You know, at one time in your life, a $12 suit was all that you could afford, and all you thought you could ever afford. You get out of that state and think something differently, and then you pay $250 for a suit easier than you could get at the $12 for the other suit. I know it happened in my own case. When I began to buy a suit for $250, it was easier for me to pay $250 than when I had to get up $12 for a suit. That if it rained, I had to start running, or I couldn't get out of it. Now that is life. And you simply move from one state into another state. And the same being, I'm not another being. I answer the same name. You say Neville, I answer. I answer then to the name Neville. And yet I move from one state to another state to another state. As you move from one state, what you couldn't do in one state, you find it so easy to do in the other state.